What is up, everyone? How are you doing tonight? We are going to get started in just a few minutes. You're listening to a little bit of Sticky Buds. Don't know if you heard of Sticky Buds, but he's a good old Bitcoiner. Good dude. Welcome to BTC Sessions, who's joining us tonight.
Heyo.
What do you think of Sticky Buds? You like the music?
Sounds great, man. Loving it.
He's actually a Swan Bitcoin customer and reached out to us, and he's like this big music artist, and I feel like I've been to one of his music festivals and heard him before, and so I was super stoked. But anyway, time for some beginner Bitcoin Q&A. All right, time for the music to be done. Done with the music. Anywho, folks, welcome. This is Beginner Bitcoin Q&A. We do this every Monday night at 6 p.m. PST as a part of Cafe Bitcoin. If you have never heard of Cafe Bitcoin, you're new to Clubhouse, and you're interested in Bitcoin, do us a favor and click on Cafe Bitcoin at the top left and join the club. You'll get notified every time one of our rooms starts, and we are doing rooms every day, all the time. For our full schedule of events, you can go to cafebitcoin.club. It's got a calendar there. It has a list of all our recurring events. It also has a great list of beginner Bitcoin resources, including documentaries and books and all sorts of things. There's a link there to a free book called Inventing Bitcoin that I highly, highly recommend everyone read. It's one of the books that I send to everyone I know who is interested in Bitcoin and going down the rabbit hole. I am joined tonight by BTC Sessions, who is I don't even know how to describe you, man. You're like one of the all-stars of Bitcoin YouTube. You put out tutorials on everything from how to run a node to where to buy Bitcoin to I don't know. Your channel is so comprehensive. It's amazing. So I would definitely urge anyone here in the audience to click on Ben's profile here and go to his Twitter and follow him there, and go to his YouTube and subscribe and all those fun things. But anyway, he's a great guy for this, and I'm happy to have him here because he's incredibly knowledgeable. And we should also be joined by Guy Swann of the Bitcoin Audible podcast, who will be joining us hopefully soon. I'm going to send him a little message. And I am Brecky von Bitcoin. I'm the creative director over at Swan Bitcoin, among other things, and organizing this little event and other Clubhouse events for us. So if you are new to this event, basically the way we do things is a little different than a normal Clubhouse room. We bring guests up one at a time. We ask you to have a Bitcoin question ready. Try to keep it beginner focused. That's the focus of this room. We also want everyone who's listening to learn from these questions and answers. And we also optionally ask that you tell us one interesting fact about yourself, but that is completely optional. The only thing that is not optional is a question, and there's no such thing as a dumb question. Oh, Ben, how are you doing today? I'm gonna ping Guy while you tell me about your day, and I recover a little bit and breathe.
Yeah, man. You just take this and you run with it. I love it. I am great today. I took a week off last week from making videos because my wife gave birth to our second child. So we've got two kids in the house now, two little Bitcoiners. Yeah, it's very exciting. Adjusting to sleep schedules and the such. So that's been interesting. But I'm back at it today. And also very exciting, Bitcoin Twitter got a hold of a little tweet that I put out and somehow managed to wrangle I think perhaps the most epic lineup I've ever had on the show coming this Friday. I have, it's just insane. I have Preston Pish, Jeff Booth, author of The Price of Tomorrow, Jack Mallers from Strike, Michael Saylor, and American Hodl, all joining for a panel show on Friday called "Why Are We Bullish?"
I'm sorry, what? And where's my invite? Are you kidding me? Holy shit! That's gonna be so much fun.
I don't know how that happened. I'm a little dumbfounded, but I'm super excited. Like I'm just floored over here.
Oh man, that's gonna be a hell of a show. So you heard it here, folks. Go subscribe to his YouTube and don't miss that show. I'm not gonna miss it. It's gonna be a good one.
So excited.
Alrighty, I'm pinging a few more people. I forgot to mention, if you're just joining us, do us a favor and hit that plus sign at the bottom right. Ping anyone you know who might have a Bitcoin question or might enjoy listening in. And for anyone who's here and is taking notes and trying to learn it as quickly as possible, don't worry. We are actually streaming this right now to the Swan Bitcoin YouTube channel, so you can go there afterwards and listen to the answers again, or you can go back and we actually have recordings from previous episodes. Hey, Guy Swann is here! Woo woo!
I want to give Guy Swann a shout out for something that dropped of his today. Well, I mean his and others. It was, of course, his silky smooth voice narrating an article by Knut Svanholm, and there was a really good, like, I don't know what you call it, one of those animated videos that dropped with it today. It was excellent. I can't remember the title of it, but maybe Guy, you can enlighten us. Either way, excellent stuff.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Yeah, it's actually an episode of the show, and then we worked with Knut, and Ione Appleberg is the guy's name, and he kills it with those little animations and stuff. And we've had like an ongoing little group making a bunch of these little things, and but that one's called The Separation of Money and State, and it's really good. Knut hit it out of the park with that one.
Oh, nice. I started watching the beginning of it, and then I downloaded it so we can add it to Bitcoin TV. So I'm excited to watch. I love all those little videos. And it sounds like a good time to show Bitcoin TV, folks. If you aren't aware, we actually have a 24/7 Bitcoin TV channel. Right now it's streaming on YouTube. You can go to bitcointv.network, or you can go to cornhub.tv. They'll both take you to the same place.
I accidentally go to it all the time. It's weird.
I keep it on, and I just got a puppy, so I keep it on in the other room, and hopefully he's learning something and avoid shitcoins. But anyway, let's get to it. We've been talking too long. Let's folks, if you're in the audience, you got a Bitcoin question, please raise your hand, and we will do our best to bring you all up. Hopefully in the order that you raise your hands. But Casey, I think you were first, so come on up. Tell us one interesting fact about yourself if you'd like, and ask your Bitcoin question. Also, folks, I know the temptation to ask multiple questions, but we would like to try to get to everyone tonight, which will not happen. So please try to keep it to one question. The rule basically is if you have a follow-up question, make it a good follow-up question. How's it going, Casey?
Hey, how's it going? Can y'all hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Awesome. Hey, well, first off, thank you for having me on. I'm actually down here in Texas, so that's my interesting fact, and I just joined Clubhouse, so I'm happy to be here. My question is, first off, is I'm just now getting started with Bitcoin, and I downloaded Cash App, and I'm...
Oh, you broke up there, Casey. The last thing we heard was I downloaded Cash App and... Oh no. Is it just me? Can you all hear him?
No, I lost at the same spot.
Yeah, same.
Casey, now you're muted. All right, Casey, we're going to leave you on stage. Hopefully your connection gets better and you can come back with your question. And then I'm going to bring up Emilio. The reason why I'm bringing up Emilio is because he has laser eyes. So hint, folks.
Hello?
Ah, you're back.
There he is.
Do you guys hear me? What did I lose you at?
Hey, Emilio, sit tight on stage for us and mute yourself, and we're going to go to Casey, and then we'll go back to you. So, Casey, the last thing we heard was I downloaded Cash App and...
Okay.
You left us hanging. It was a cliffhanger, man. It's terrible.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, so I went to the bank, kind of this backlog is I went to the bank, tried to get a loan. They offered me a loan against my savings account and to charge me interest against my own money, which is the absolutely biggest scam on the corner. So I guess pretty much I'm done with these banks, and do you guys recommend Cash App to be a good start to kind of get into Bitcoin and kind of hear what you guys think about that?
So is this like your off ramp to basically say fuck the banks? Is that kind of your?
Yeah, like get off of USD and get onto BTC.
So what you're talking about is kind of like going onto a Bitcoin standard, which I myself am effectively on. I do live on Bitcoin. Now, that doesn't mean I don't have a bank account. It means I minimize my interaction with dollars as much as possible. Now, I'm in Canada, So some of the resources here are going to be a little bit different from what you have. From what I understand, you can effectively use Cash App as like a quasi bank. Like they'll give you like routing numbers and stuff like that, and you can deposit checks and payroll and stuff like that into a Cash App, though I don't have firsthand experience with that. And then from within Cash App, you can obviously convert any excess dollars that you get that don't cover your bill, or that go above and beyond your bills, can be converted into dollars, or converted into Bitcoin, at which point I would also recommend taking that Bitcoin off into your own Bitcoin wallet, potentially like a hardware device, like a Ledger or a Trezor or a Cold Card or a Kobo or something like that. But I mean, the tools are there. You're going to find you're going to have to jump through more hoops than normal. But if that gives you the solace of knowing that, these asshole banks that have been jerking you around all these years aren't getting as much of your business, then hey, more power to you. Also keep in mind that you're also going to have to deal a little bit with the tax consequences of that. Now, this means that let's say you get paid, obviously if you're not taxed before that, then you got to incorporate that in, but also any appreciation of the dollar value of the Bitcoin, you're also going to have to figure that out in terms of capital gains tax. But it's a bit of a trade-off. Just think of it this way. If you're paying capital gains tax on, the savings from your paychecks, it means that the paychecks that you've gotten paid have gone up in value instead of the norm, which is down. So it's a net positive, but speak with an accountant as you dive into that realm.
Hey Casey, also real quick, I mean, the thing with trying to like not use a bank account is it's obviously like very difficult in the US for certain things, like even funding Cash App, they're going to ask you for a bank account to fund the app, right? Something that I would recommend though is getting on the wait list for the Fold card. I don't know, do you know about the Fold app yet, by any chance?
No, I do not.
So Fold is one of my favorite companies in the space, and basically what they do is they have a debit card now, and they're going to have a credit card that allows you to use it anywhere that I think Visa or is it MasterCard, I can't remember, they're accepted, and you earn Bitcoin on all your purchases. And the cool thing about them is they actually you have like a routing number and an account number the same way you would a normal bank account, because you have a bank account through their bank. And the one thing that I like, why I would say do that versus doing Cash App, let's say, is just because here and there are stories of people who will get shut out of Cash App. They're such a big company that they don't take any risk whatsoever with transactions that might look a bit shady, even if they're not. Like my Cash App account was frozen. I wasn't doing anything wrong. They just like, I don't know, I withdrew small amounts, and they were like, we're not gonna take the chance, right? So Fold app is awesome because you get this card, you get a bank account, and you earn Bitcoin for all the purchases you make. Like if you get the Fold card, you can get up to like 5% back in Bitcoin on Amazon. And during a pandemic, I've lived off Amazon basically. So I would definitely urge you to check out the Fold app. You can shoot me a DM. I'll send you a link if you'd like. Just message me on Twitter. But otherwise, everything Benny was saying is great advice, and I'd love to hear if Guy's been living on a Bitcoin standard, I think, longer than all of us. Maybe not longer than Ben, so I'd love to hear his perspective.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add. I use Cash App and the Cash Card. I use Fold and the Fold Card. And in fact, while I'm sitting here right now, I'm looking at brake pads and rotors because my car is old and piece of crap. I need to fix some stuff. And I'm going to be spending, I'm using the Fold card. So I'll let you know in a minute how many sats I get back for it. I mean, yeah, I've done it for a really long time. Fold is a new addition, and I prefer it quite a bit to the Cash App. Like I said, I mean, like Brecky said, there's always kind of that risk that, you get shut down with Cash App. But if I don't need it for expenditures and stuff like that, like it's in Bitcoin.
Sorry, real quick. The one other thing is, like, if you really want to go hardcore on a Bitcoin standard and like earn Bitcoin and spend Bitcoin, all those things, you can actually spend your Bitcoin through Fold. I don't really advocate for that because I think Bitcoin's going to keep going up in value. Not financial advice, but it is a pretty powerful tool, if you'd like to spend your Bitcoin as well. And then for anyone else who's interested, this is a bit more advanced, but let's say you don't want to buy Bitcoin through an exchange that requires a bank account. You can use something called BISC, and this is like a way more advanced thing, but something to keep on your radar. You don't have to necessarily go through the traditional routes to get your hands on Bitcoin. You can also go to meetups and buy Bitcoin in person at a meetup, let's say, depending on where you live. If you're in Texas, you said, Casey, there's some great meetups in Austin, for example. But anyway, how'd we do? Any follow-up questions for us?
No, that was absolutely awesome. You guys rock, and yeah, I can't wait to hear what other questions everybody else has, and thanks for the answer.
Sweet. I would also say one more thing to check out, because I've just started tinkering with it. It's relatively new. If your first is, you should probably start exploring the Lightning tools. If you really want to go full on Bitcoin, Lightning has been an absolute godsend for the last 9 months to a year for me. I use it all the time. I mean, literally multiple times a day.
Guy, you got to open up a channel to me later. All right, we got to make.
Oh yeah, we need to do that. That's right. But Pay with Moon is the service. It's paywithmoon.com, and you can. It's like a plugin.
Isn't that MUUN or no? Is it spelled?
No, that is a Lightning
separate
app. That is a Lightning wallet called Moon, MUUN. But this is Pay with Moon, and it literally lets you make a Visa card, prepaid Visa card, like on the fly for any custom amount. So like when you go to a place to buy something online and like your checkout is like $92.15, then you just go to Pay with Moon, create a Visa card for $92.15, and then they send you a Lightning invoice. You pay it, you have the card, you can put in whatever name, address, anything you want for the card info, so you're not constantly exposing yourself to every stupid computer with your identity and personal information, financial information. Pay, done, ship. You're exposed to nobody for your information or whatever, and you paid with Bitcoin. You pay with Lightning.
It's pretty awesome. The one thing just to keep in mind in the U.S. is that anytime you buy anything with Bitcoin in the U.S., it's a taxable event. So.
Oh yeah, that's a pain in the butt. But get some CSVs files.
So, anyway, Casey, we appreciate it. We're going to move you back down. Emilio, thank you again, Casey. Emilio, you've been waiting. You've been patient. We brought you up, and then Casey came back. So sorry. Tell us one interesting fact about yourself, if you'd like, and then let us know your Bitcoin question.
Sure. Thank you for having me, guys. I'm from Honduras, but I live here in the States, and so I would say that's an interesting fact. My question: I'm a big proponent of Bitcoin, and I hold most of my cryptocurrencies in Bitcoin. My question has to do with the long-term outlook of Bitcoin in areas where I think it leaves room for other cryptocurrency blockchain projects to creep in and maybe take some of its market share. I mean, I know it's got the hard money component down, but in areas, there are 4 areas that I'm sort of wondering how Bitcoin might develop, and wanted to get your thoughts on. And because of time constraints, I was going to ask you to focus on one of the 4. The 4 are smart contracts, Bitcoin's ability to be a smart contracts, governance within Bitcoin, interoperability in Bitcoin, and just Bitcoin's ability to index data in the broader blockchain. Those are 4 areas that I think Bitcoin is weak, and in particular, smart contracts. So the question is this: how does Bitcoin smart contracts size up to a mature smart contract platform, maybe like a Polkadot or a Cardano in the future? Do you feel like Bitcoin is programmable enough to fend off other blockchains on a smart contract basis?
So I'm going to start off with just a general thought on the whole question here. When you're dealing with something that's meant to be immutable digital value as kind of a base function, and then you want to build additional capabilities on top of that, in my opinion, it is not the best practice to cram all of that into the base layer, because with complexity comes more attack vectors. And so what we see with a lot of these other projects is there's so much complexity on the base layer that there are massive trade-offs made in security and immutability and, to be frank, decentralization. All these other projects that are trying to fit so much in on a base layer, they sacrifice, by and large, one of the most important things to me about Bitcoin, which is the ability of anybody who chooses to do what's known as run a node, which is running a copy of the entire history of transactions, as well as a copy of the rule set governing the protocol. And that ensures that nobody can come along and change the underlying, I guess, the financial base layer. Nobody can come along and change that on you if you're running a node, because you dictate what the protocol is for yourself. And when you do away with that, you get something like, for instance, Ethereum, where it's so difficult to run a node that there are such a small group of people doing it, actually running it themselves, not just on Amazon Web Services, where there's just such a lack of decentralization that they can effectively change the infrastructure, change the base layer on a whim. And, you know, move fast and break things is not a quality that I want from my money. Now, in terms of adding in functions on top, you can do that in layers. We're seeing stuff like that with Lightning. We're seeing stuff like that with Liquid Network, which is a sidechain of Bitcoin. You can do all of the other things on Bitcoin while keeping the sanctity of the Bitcoin base layer preserved. So in my opinion, these other blockchains that are trying to do complicated things, while it's great and I welcome people to go and experiment, in the long term, I see Bitcoin as being what sticks around, what becomes kind of that beacon of digital truth. And then you can abstract away, or rather build on top, other layers that allow for those complexities. It was just kind of an issue of time preference and people wanting to move quicker than the natural kind of progression and I guess robustness of the Bitcoin infrastructure would allow at the time. But I'll let other guys hop in on this as well. Maybe Guy has some thoughts.
Yeah. So I would say a few things. One is, you know, because some network or blockchain, quote unquote, whatever, has a bunch of features and widgets and things that they can do with their money, or what they hope is money, does not give the value to the money. You know, it's not because I have a payment network that can do escrow and has all these fun, cool things that I can do with my, you know, packets of dirt that make the dirt valuable. The reason you want the smart contracts and the features and all of the functionality is because you're trading something of value. The thing has to be valuable first. I think 99. I think the whole idea of we have better features, therefore our money is worth more, is backwards. And most of them are putting the cart before the horse. Like Ben said, is the fundamental thing here is, do you have a secure, decentralized, immutable monetary good? Bitcoin does that explicitly by having a small attack surface. It does one thing, the most critical and the most valuable thing, and it does it amazingly well. 2, governance, just a fancy word for how do we jump through the hoops to centralize this thing. If somebody is telling you that they've got like a fancy governance token and they've got some clever governance system, that means they figured out a stupid way to put leaders back into the system. Governance is either you have something in the protocol that says these are the people that get to make decisions and you've centralized it, or everyone validates, period. Bitcoin is everybody validates. That's decentralized. Every governance token I have ever heard of or even mildly looked into is ridiculously centralized and completely missing the point. 3, smart contracts, you can do all of it on Bitcoin. Every bit of it in layer 2. Every single thing about the software can simply be ported to, there's something called like a DLC, a discrete log contract. All you need to attach something to a piece of software, and the software can be whatever you want, is a hash. That's it. You just need something that locks the ownership of the Bitcoin to some arbitrary application. And we've got a perfect example of this in the Lightning Pool. They've created a system called a shadow chain, in which, with nothing but the basic Bitcoin script, a multi-sig, time lock, and a hash, they have made an application that's just it's an exchange. It allows you to do blind auctions between buyers and sellers of liquidity on the Lightning Network. The user runs it, and so does the non-custodial service provider in this instance, which is the Lightning Pool team. Anybody can run it. You could have it running on 1,000 different servers. You can have it run on one server, and you don't trust anybody with your money. You always have the ability to exit, and it's completely coding agnostic, completely program agnostic. You can program whatever the heck you want. Both teams run it, and if they don't come up with the same answer, well, then they just wait and they get their money back. If they come up with the same answer, then everything goes through. All of it can be done that way. The point is, much like what Ben said, is that they have put the cart before the horse, and they have rushed to put streaming on the internet before we've figured out the core functions of TCP/IP. That is, they're moving fast and breaking things, and the reason it catches on is because it's a casino. It's because they're creating a new token and a new money for this thing. Where money's for all the cabinets in the world. It's just money for cabinets. It's just money for debts. It's just money for.
It's bringing friction back into the system.
It doesn't make any more sense to have 100 monies versus one, for the same reason it doesn't. For the same reason, having money in the first place is better than barter. Like, if you just have a token for all of the things, you still completely lose the point. You're still back to barter. You're just bartering tokens. I don't know. Sorry, I'm rambling way too much here. But it just, the economics just doesn't line up, and it's something that you can get lost in the weeds with so easy if you just don't take the right mindset when you walk into that sort of topic or that sort of argument.
And I brought up friction there because nobody touched on the point of interoperability. And when you're using a sound money standard, when everything's tied to Bitcoin, you don't need interoperability. So anyway, Emilio, you may or may not disagree with what we're saying here, but how do we do on the answer?
Oh, you guys did great, and I agree 100% with everything you said. You know, I'm looking over a 5 to 10 year time horizon. I'm thinking, what's going to creep up to get Bitcoin, and on what basis? And I'm thinking those are some loose ends that Bitcoin leaves out there that, you know, lets it for somebody else to another blockchain to come out ahead. But you guys have addressed that beautifully, and I'm ever closer to being a Bitcoin maximalist. So thank you.
the laser eyes are half the battle. One quick thing though, just for some specifics on like what's being built and how we're getting there. Maybe Ben, you were going to jump in and say this too, but you know, we talked about Lightning. There's also the Liquid sidechain, which has like 2-minute blocks and a lot more functionality. There's the RGB protocol, which is being used, and there's also something called RSK, which I'm not that familiar with, but it basically allows use of the Ethereum programming language with Bitcoin. So Ben, were you going to add something else?
Yeah, I was just going to say, for anybody listening that is wondering about historically how things have played out with everything versus Bitcoin in terms of, well, what if I diversify? And, you know, we're like partway into a bull market. I did an article on this, but I also did a postmortem video. The last time I updated it would have been in November, but it was basically looking at what if you had diversified your portfolio amongst multiple cryptocurrencies, even with a heavy weighting of Bitcoin, what happened to you financially over the course of that? You can go and watch that video. I have a playlist called Avoiding Shitcoins 101, but the video specifically is called Bitcoin versus Altcoins. Actually, sorry, it's called Should You Buy Altcoins? and it kind of goes through basically what would have happened to you if you had taken, say, 10 grand and split it up across all of these different coins. And spoiler alert, you should have just bought Bitcoin, but I'll let you go watch it.
Thank you, guys.
And on that note, I was going to recommend what is actually your article, Ben, from Bitcoin Audible. He's got a great one called "My Path to Bitcoin Maximalism," and it's a long time ago now. You have to search it in the library, but bitcoinaudible.com, the second page or whatever is like, I finally got it, so you can easily search through all 680 odd episodes. But my path to Bitcoin maximalism kind of hits a key, like, was like 4 or 5 principles and reasons for understanding the value in comparison to like altcoins and all that mess.
Thank you, fellas.
Awesome.
No
Thank you,
worries.
Emilio. We're going to send you down. Ben, would you mind bringing someone up?
Yeah, man. Let's take a look here. Let's grab Yasha. He's been down there for a while. Yasha, welcome to the stage. Taking the words from Brecky's mouth, a fun fact about you and your Bitcoin question.
Hey, thanks for having me. One fact is I've been holding Bitcoin since 2017, and it's a very fun fact because I'm enjoying it. So I have a question right now about the bull market, just about Tesla. So I was just wondering, what do you guys think? I mean, do you guys think Tesla will cash out their Bitcoins? I mean, one day, and if they do, what happens in the market? Well, what will be the influence from from the news, basically? Because I feel like it's going to be a panic mode, but I don't know.
No. I mean, sure, I'm sure they'll cash something out at some point. Everybody will. But like Tesla isn't really even all that.
I'm never selling, guy. So don't speak for everyone, okay?
All
right. Don't put words in my mouth.
I mean, some of these institutional investors, probably not Michael Saylor, but like Tesla is. I think it means a lot more to the people who got here very recently, and like it feels like suddenly, Bitcoin is legitimate. But for the people who've been here for a long time, like it's just kind of like another like news item in an ocean of like Bitcoin has been absolutely crazy. Like there is nothing like talking about like, oh, Tesla sells and people will freak out. There's been 1,000 things that are more significant in Bitcoin's history, both good and bad. All the little like minor institutions and stuff coming on board or people like finally investing in it just kind of feels like it was a matter of time, and it's like, okay, they finally caught up. But
let's talk hypothetically though. Like I'll indulge us for a second. Like,
okay,
hypothetically, like what if Tesla dumped their Bitcoin? But the thing is, like, even if they wanted to offload their Bitcoin, I don't think they would dump it all at once because it's a lot of Bitcoin. And they would do far better to sell it gradually over time if they were trying to get rid of their position than they would to dump it all at once. Like, it just wouldn't make sense. I don't know that, if somebody put $1 billion on the market up for sale right now, like, that would have an effect on the price for sure. It would probably lower the price, but that means that like
clean up the order book.
Right. But the tail end of that Bitcoin that they're selling, like, would be for a lot less potentially. So it just doesn't make sense to me. And, I do think it depends on a company's understanding of what they're doing. And Tesla, for example, they recently disclosed that they disclosed a bug within BTC Pay Server, and BTC Pay Server is a open source payment processor for Bitcoin that basically lets you become a sovereign payment processor on your own. You don't need to go through anyone else, anything like that, which leads a lot of people to believe that Tesla is using a version of BTC Pay Server on their backend for accepting Bitcoin, because they're now accepting Bitcoin for Teslas if you choose to spend your Bitcoin. So to me, that signals that they have taken not just a cursory interest in Bitcoin, but a serious interest in Bitcoin, that they've done their research. And, maybe they don't have, the diamond hands of Michael Saylor, but, they're not just a fly by night, oh, let's buy some Bitcoin. I don't think a company the size of Tesla, buys $1 billion worth of Bitcoin lightly. So while it's possible, I think they're in it for the long term. At least that's my guess.
Yeah, and I'll just tag on more of a generalization here. I think that people are gradually realizing where their value should be placed and what number they should be focused on. Right now, you have a small subset of Bitcoiners themselves that have gone from thinking, I want to buy Bitcoin so that I can obtain more dollars, to I want to dump my dollars so I can have the maximum amount of Bitcoin. And gradually you're seeing more and more Bitcoiners realize this. You are seeing some institutions, I'm basically looking at Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy, that are on the same wavelength, but everyone else is going to have to go through that thought process too. And so what I'm thinking you're going to see is, yes, you'll probably see the cycles play out where people are going with market sentiment, and you see bull runs like we're seeing currently, and you'll see probably bear markets like we've seen previously, until people all get on that same wavelength of, I don't want to hold the dollars. This isn't a game of dollar accumulation. This is a game of Bitcoin accumulation. And I think we're on that path, but everybody's going to have to go through that journey at their own speed. And the people that are on that journey and have been on that journey for a while and have come to that conclusion are in an excellent position, because the rest of the world isn't there yet, but they will be.
All right, Yasha, how do we do?
Awesome. It was perfect. I just want to remind everyone who's listening that it's never late. You should never say that. I always talk to people and they say, oh, I wish I did that. Well, it's not late yet, because it's gonna take over. That's how I see it. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Yasha. I'm going to move you back down. A quick welcome to our good friend, the Bitcoin Rabbi, who is a great Bitcoiner and an educator. He's got an amazing kids book, but it's great for adults also who are just getting into Bitcoin. I think you can go find it at thebitcoinrabbi.com. How's it going, Rabbi?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. Hey, Ben and Guy, nice to chat with you guys. I can give some tips over here on whatever people are talking about tonight.
Awesome. Welcome, man. Good to see you. Love your book, and so does my kid.
Awesome. That's great.
All right, we're gonna invite Ian Supra, because you got laser eyes. Sorry, folks, without laser eyes. We'll bring up some non-laser eyes next time. For anyone who doesn't know what laser eyes are, it's a funny meme that's been permeating the space. Basically, people were saying they're gonna put laser eyes on their avatars until we hit $100,000 Bitcoin. So we've got some laser eyes. What's going on, Ian? Tell us one interesting fact about yourself, if you'd like. That's optional, and let us know your Bitcoin question.
Been in space since 2013, and I've been mining for most of it.
Oh, you don't have a beginner question then?
Unfortunately, no.
But
I think it's the right set of questions for the right people that are on stage right now. Brecky, you're a legend. Ben, I watch not all, but a lot of your stuff. Guy, I just got recently introduced to you from another channel today, or another room today. So love the way you explain. And Rabbi, listen, bless me for all the sins I have, I don't know.
Wrong religion, sir. We don't do confession in the Jewish faith.
Right, not Sunday, right? But anyway, let me get to it. So, like I said, my question really has to do a little bit about privacy. I don't quite understand, and maybe hopefully you can break this down. When I'm sending a transaction to another derived public key, is that trackable by someone like Chain Analysis, or is it only when I send it outbound that it's be able to be tracked? And part two of that question is really what is Samurai Wallet and Wasabi Wallet doing to hide transactions? That if you could break that down to make me understand that portion.
Were you saying when you transfer from one of your wallets to another wallet? Is that what did you mean when you? Could you just clarify what was the first part about what kind of transaction you're talking about?
Let's say you're going to send me a transaction to pay me for something, and I send you a new public key that's derived from a wallet that I've had for a while. Is there any way for Chainalysis to see where the money went and that it went to a wallet that previously had Bitcoins in it?
Oh, for sure. I mean, the real question is, have you linked your identity to the public key ever, to the address ever? Because if like, let's say you open a Coinbase account and which is KYC, they know who you are, and you sent Bitcoin from that address to the wallet that you're then going to receive this new Bitcoin from, then Chainalysis with the right information could tie it to you. If it's like, if you generated an address by rolling dice, let's say, and it's never been linked to your identity, then Chainalysis would show that Bitcoin is going to an address, but they wouldn't necessarily know whose address it is. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So one thing I want you to consider here is what you're basically trying to do is not have, like, in order to preserve privacy, is to not have linkages with Bitcoin that is identifiable as yours. And so when you have a Bitcoin wallet that has other funds in it, it's important to know that when you receive funds, even though it's a different address generated every time you receive, those funds do sit in the wallet actually separately, kind of like when you receive a $20 bill from somebody and a $5 bill from somebody else inside your wallet. It's two separate bills. But when you go to spend $22, you're borrowing a little bit from each bill in order to pay. And the same is true of Bitcoin. So if the $5 bill is linked to your identity and the $20 bill is not yet, when you spend them together, it identifies you as the owner of the 20 as well. So this is what's known in Bitcoin as UTXO management, or unspent transaction output management. Scary term, but basically it's just saying you have multiple bills in your wallet, and if you spend ones that are identified as yours with ones that are not identified as yours, then you link them together and Chainalysis can tell that it is yours.
Also, the person you're sending it to, it can see what the UTXOs in your wallet. So if you want to send somebody, a small amount of Bitcoin, like, $50 or $20 or something, but you were sending it from a UTXO that was, a 10 Bitcoin UTXO. So they're going to see that, to make that transaction, you chipped away that little bit. They're going to see where it came from as well. So the person that you're transacting with will be able to make that linkage as well.
Yeah, so think of it like going to a corner store, again, in the same kind of analogy. If you had $100 bill and a $5 bill in your pocket, and you went to pay for a candy bar, if you if you pull out the $100 bill, the person behind the counter can see that you have $100 bills, even though you're paying like $2 and you're getting back 98. They see the whole amount. So you can also kind of give away at least partially how much Bitcoin you own, depending on how you do transactions. So try not to get intimidated by this stuff, because there's a lot to learn. But using a wallet that lets you see these things, that lets you see the separate pieces of Bitcoin in your wallet, something like Wasabi or Samurai or Spectre, or even Blue Wallet allows for these functions. If you look into the advanced features, you can start to see the background. And while you may not get it perfect, at least it gives you greater insight, and you can act accordingly if you're trying to preserve privacy.
And in terms of, like what you can do to obfuscate, the trail, or, to increase the level of privacy you have, unfortunately right now it's not perfect yet. There's CoinJoin with Wasabi. The Samurai has Whirlpool, their own version of CoinJoin. There's Join Market, which I haven't tried yet, which is not user friendly from what I know. But there are things on the way that are coming. Lightning Network also can increase your privacy. I don't know if Guy, you can speak to that at all. And with Taproot and Schnorr coming as well, I think we're going to see some privacy improvements for Bitcoin. But unfortunately now, you kind of have to be an advanced user to use Bitcoin very privately. because for a beginner, you might end up shooting yourself in the foot by, thinking that you're using it privately, and then maybe you're not. So, for anyone who's new to Bitcoin, this is kind of an advanced topic, and Bitcoiners, care very much about privacy, and we are looking forward and hoping that some of these privacy improvements come sooner than later. But basically, Bitcoin is anonymous; it's not private yet. So you can use it anonymously, but not necessarily privately. And this is just something to kind of learn about how the Bitcoin blockchain itself works. It's a public ledger. Every transaction is viewable, which is a good thing. But hopefully we do see these privacy improvements. Ian, how do we do? Any follow-ups?
I was just going to say, since you asked about Lightning, Lightning
sorry,
is
guy.
actually incredibly private. In fact, I think it's one of the best privacy solutions with Bitcoin right now. Because like when you make a payment over Lightning, the only person who knows, has any information that it's specifically you and that it was received from your like public key is the person who received it, and not even anybody else along the route. It's onion routed, so it's like the Tor network. And then there's no record of the payment except for with you and the receiver. So like that individual payment, I mean, your address, maybe they can still connect to you because you withdrew it from Cash App or something like that. But the payments on Lightning are pretty damn private. And I think that's a very good reason why we haven't heard anything about Chainalysis or any of these other analysis and like anti-privacy companies doing any successful selling any products around analysis of the Lightning Network, because I don't think they have a good solution for it yet. But it's a little bit, it's at a different level or layer regarding.
Would I be dating myself right now if I asked to let the dogs out? I think I would be. Sorry, couldn't help myself. All right, Ian. I think we covered it. Anything else?
Nope, that was it. Send me back to the gulag. I appreciate it, guys.
To the gulag. Love it. To the gulag with you, sir. Guy, would you mind bringing someone up?
Yeah, sure. Anybody with laser eyes down here? I haven't checked it.
No, we can't do we've been doing laser eyes the whole time. We got to do non-laser eyes.
Or Javid.
We have to do a non-laser eyes after this. We've been
have to do
very preferential for the laser eyes.
I'm so sorry.
It's all right. Next week.
Mine's a quick question, guys. Thank you, first of all, for bringing me up. Ben,
it's not guys. It's Guy, and then I'm
Guy.
Ricky,
Yeah,
and then no, I'm kidding.
Huge fan. I've watched all your.
Oh no.
Oh, you're cutting out, man. But I will take the compliment.
I'm trying. I just put my Raspberry Pi 4 together for the first time. I've been mining, but I'm now trying to node. New in the space, and I'm trying to understand, really like trying to find which video to go see or someone you can recommend something on how the whole Lightning Network really is working in there, because I have sats, I have the wallet, I got everything figured out. So how I'm losing money or what I'm doing wrong, because I'm not getting sats.
If you're talking about gaining sats by running a Lightning node, that's, even if you're running a routing node right now that's like a well-run routing node, you're not going to be earning that much, if that's what you're talking about. But it also, and I'm not the guy to answer this, Guy, and Guy definitely is, so I'll tee it up for him. But you have to set up your node in a certain way. You have to have well-balanced channels. And real quick, it's funny that you bring this up, because I was speaking with Guy and Ben about this. We're actually in the midst of putting together a Lightning 101 series of Lightning 101 rooms for Clubhouse. We're going to do them on alternating Wednesdays, I believe. So the details for that are coming, but we're going to loop in the folks from Lightning Labs as well, because there really is a lack of really good Lightning material out there, and part of the reason for that is because things are moving so quickly in Lightning, so it becomes difficult. But Guy, if you want to tackle the rest of this one.
Yeah, so I would say if I would use Lightning under the context that you're not trying to make money with it, that you simply want to use Lightning. Like, for example, with Fold, I use it a lot with that to make sats back. In fact, by the way, just an update, I got 10,000 sats back on my breaks. So it was like $5. So like I do that a lot. Like I'll use Strike, which is connected to my bank account. So I just spend money straight from my bank account to Strike over Lightning and then get like 2% back if I'm like doing it at like Amazon or Starbucks or something like that. So I just get a discount for stuff that I normally do, basically. But in the context of earning money, that's a very different game in Lightning. Like you can't just have like 2 channels and then, you know, expect to route like a bunch of payments. Like you should be thinking of that like I'm hosting a web service online. I have a computer or a device or something that's very well connected and has a lot of different very well placed channels with good liquidity one way or another. Like my BTC Pay server, I basically have that. Like I have that out on a Lunar Node server, and I use it for all my website stuff, and it does route payments. But even kind of trying to have a decent setup, I didn't really set it up to route payments, but I just knew that if I positioned myself well, it would. But it doesn't route like a lot. It doesn't route like Alex Bosworth's node, who is incredibly well connected, and he's been in it for a long time, so he kind of knows the in and outs of how to play that game. But I'd probably route like, you know, 10 payments a day or something like that, maybe. But the default fee is 1 sat. So that's 10 sats a day to route. So you also kind of need to bump up your fee a little bit, which will kind of make you take it more seriously, which doesn't actually keep you from being a good route.
Isn't that interesting? I saw Alex talking about this somewhere, and I think he was saying that his fee is like something like 6 sats or something like that.
Yeah. Mine's actually, I really wish somebody would come out with one that does a percent sats fee so that you can still route tiny payments and charge, you know, a millisat or something stupid like that, like 0.1%. But then when somebody sends 1 million sats through your channel, you get paid based on the liquidity that they took up in your channels. I'm still waiting for one that's just how much is the payment, because this is the fee relative to that payment. But I think that's kind of where the incentives will push it, like down the line. But yeah, I have my set at I think for my BTC Pay server it's 10 sats, I think, for my base fee. My Umbral though, I just have it set at 1. But yeah, you just need to have really good liquidity, be connected to a lot of different places, and really think about it like you're running a service and really dig into how it works. And also check out Lightning Pool. That's another great way to basically hook up specifically to people who need liquidity, as opposed to just this guy who's got lots of liquidity and connections and this guy who's got lots of liquidity and connections, and they don't really need your channels. You know, they're already routing over the other more reliable channels that have been there for a very, very long time. So that might not even be what's needed. The best thing is to get something with a really good connection and then try to find people who need connections. But yeah, you just need to think about it like a service. And it's going to be a little bit deeper than a Clubhouse chat.
Can we recommend any resources? Maybe, I don't know if I was thinking of reaching out to him to ask him to do more videos, but I used to like Renee Pickhart's like older videos on the Lightning Network, but he hasn't done any like in over a year, I think. So I don't know if they're still relevant.
I kind of hate it that there's not a lot of great resources. I've been thinking about it a lot recently and wanting to put together something on the website and just kind of like basic building stuff up and setting up channels. But I mean, Ben, do you have some good videos? I know Alex Bosworth is somebody I follow a lot. Breeze Tech And the Breeze wallet, they have really good posts kind of talking about how to think about it. But what you got, Ben?
I only have the very basics, but it's becoming abundantly clear that people are interested in this and they want videos on it. So this is on my roadmap. I think I'm going to be doing it through like Umbrel. And, you know, right now I'm looking at, you know, I've downloaded like Lightning Terminal as an app on Umbrel. And so I'm looking at doing, you know, looking into Lightning Pool and all that kind of stuff and doing tutorials on that. There's so much to tackle. There's so many different applications that you can use to interact with Lightning and set things up. So yeah, there's no shortage of things to cover. So I think I'm going to start with Lightning Terminal on Umbrel and just kind of take it from there. But it's it's in the works, and I've committed to doing it now.
Yeah, hopefully that gives you at least a direction. One of my favorite people to follow, even though he doesn't tweet about it a lot, but he does yalls.org, YALLS.org, is Alex Bosworth, and he is amazing. He routes like a magician on Lightning, and he's just a great one to kind of bridge off from.
Yeah, he's great. I would also recommend we do so I said we were looking into doing a show on Wednesdays that's going to be more like Lightning 101, but actually tomorrow and then a week later, you know, not a week later, every other week, and tomorrow, it's falling on tomorrow, we have the Lightning Lab. So let me, 1 second, let me look at what time it's at. I think it's 1 p.m. PST, but basically the bunch of folks from Lightning Labs, the team there, and folks who are working on applications on Lightning, they come in here in Cafe Bitcoin. We do a room. They usually share updates on what's going on in Lightning, what they're working on, what they're excited about, that kind of thing, and then they do a Q&A at the end. So I would, if you're free tomorrow during the day, I would definitely tune in. We try to record it sometimes, but sometimes they don't want it recorded. So, but yeah, definitely look into that. How do we do, David? How do we say your name? Is it like David with a J or no?
Yeah, that's what I would tell people, but it's Javid actually.
Javid, okay, that's what that was my guess.
Thank you guys very much, Guy. That helped me a lot. I'm not trying to make money on the node part. I'm just trying to be part of the community and help it grow and do whatever I can to learn. So I appreciate you guys and looking forward to it. And definitely Lightning Lab is amazing. Every single week I try to listen as much as I can and learn as much as I can. So I appreciate that. Looking forward to what you guys are putting together as well. Thank you.
Oh, rad, man. Appreciate it.
Oh yeah. And I would also say, if you do want to go the route and like try to make it so that you've actually got like a pretty solid Lightning instance and you want to route payments and you want to keep it up for the long haul, it's very rewarding and it's super fun. And it's also just cool to, I geek out on Lightning so much. Like I absolutely love it. But I gotta say, it was pretty magical the first day that I was like started routing payments, and I felt like a Lightning god.
Love that. All right, Javid, we're gonna move you back down and bring someone up. Someone without laser eyes this time. Ron, I think you've been waiting a while. Come on up, Ron. Tell us one interesting fact about yourself, if you'd like. That's optional, and then let us know your Bitcoin question.
Nothing much to do with Bitcoin, but I love karaoke.
That's a very interesting fact. What's your go-to song?
Probably, let's see. Vern Goslin. Don't you think I should have known?
Well, if we had more time, I would ask you to sing it for us, but we don't. So
I'll sing at the drop of a hat.
All right, sir. What is your Bitcoin question?
Okay, I've got a question. It may be limited because of the scope of the question. I'm from Canada, and I just want to know if it's possible to get an evaluation of the exchange that I use. I use BitBuy in Canada, mainly because it's Canadian. It for all the investments that I'm putting into it, adhere to Canadian laws. I just want to know if it's possible for someone to do an evaluation. If you heard anything about BitBuy, and if it's anything good or anything bad, You can read about it on bitbuy.ca.
Ron, you're in luck here. We Mr. Sessions is from Canada, or Canada,
Perfect.
as it's officially called.
Perfect. So I've got some investments in it, a couple of thousand into it, but I just want to make sure before I go all in that I'm with the best exchange that I can in Canada. And also I've got a cold wallet on its way, so I might have questions about that later. But before I go into the cold wallet, I want to make sure that I'm investing into the correct exchange to start with.
Yeah. So first of all, welcome to the stage. Good to see another Canadian up here. Yeah, there's
Dunkin' Donuts is better than Timmy's. Dunkin' Donuts is better than Timmy's.
Don't you dare. Timbits for the win.
Might have to open up another room.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of good options in Canada. Most of them are going to be relatively similar. However, I would say in general, what you're going to see that is most different in terms of exchanges is going to be withdrawal fees. And what I'm talking about is not in terms of dollars, but when you go to transfer Bitcoin out of the exchange to your cold wallet, it will very much depend on where you're at. Now, you already have funds in BitBuy. I am unfamiliar with their withdrawal fee policy, but I think, and I could be mistaken here, I think it will be similar to things like, what are some of the ones? Like Newton is one of them. Netcoins is another. There's a few, but what I'm getting at is some of the things I don't like are when they have a flat fee for Bitcoin withdrawals and they price it in Bitcoin. And so what you'll see in these instances is they vastly overestimate the cost of a transaction, and they go on the Bitcoin network, and they do so to kind of cover their butts and to make sure that the transaction goes through quickly, but it's kind of at the detriment of the customer because you may be in no rush to have your transaction be confirmed and spendable because you're planning on holding on to it for years, and yet you incur what I would consider to be a high fee. I think that BitBuy is one of those ones where they don't maybe have the best withdrawal fee policy. That said, you already have funds there. And you already have a decent amount of funds there, so it's not the end of the world because as you go to send out, the percentage of your total amount being sent, it will be a much smaller percentage. Whereas if you were just buying $50 and then trying to send it out, it might cost you 10 or 15 bucks to withdraw. So it'll be the same kind of across the board. I would say do it in larger lump sums. If you're doing it with BitBuy, like let it build up a little bit and then do it like a mass withdrawal to your cold wallet. But some good options where the fees are not going to be expensive like that would be ShakePay is a really good one. And another good one is Bull Bitcoin, BULL Bitcoin. And both of those do not charge any withdrawal fees when you're removing Bitcoin from their services. In fact, they cover the cost of the Bitcoin transaction fee for you, at least at the moment. So those are kind of the main differences. Other than that, in terms of prices and premiums and fees and everything, for the most part, it's pretty even across the board. You might see a little bit of a difference, but not much.
Okay, from my memory, I believe it was 0.5% withdrawal fees. Now,
it was probably 0.005 Bitcoin, which is not good. That's probably what you saw. I could be mistaken though.
okay, yeah. So I didn't see that it was in Bitcoin. When I deposited, it was 1.5% fee to deposit, and I believe it's 0.5% to withdraw. But I may be mistaken. I better check that.
Yeah, you may be seeing the fee on withdrawal of dollars. So like if you were to leave your Bitcoin indefinitely with them, and then you were to sell it at a later date and you then have dollars and want to withdraw to your bank account, that's probably the fixed percentage. But when it comes to Bitcoin exchanges, if they're charging you for those fees, it's likely that there's no such thing as a fixed percentage, and that they're charging a flat Bitcoin rate regardless of the amount you're withdrawing. That's what I've seen by and large.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, that's something to actually look into, because when I put it into the cold wallet then, and I wanted to, I guess I can take it from the cold wallet and put it back into any other exchange I want.
Absolutely. So once you have it in your cold wallet, it is yours to do with as you please. And whatever exchange you choose to use, they'll basically say, okay, here's your account and here's the address you need to send to. And then from your cold wallet, you just say, I want to send to this address this amount of Bitcoin, and you send it off. And in that instance, you're able, because you're sending from your end, you're able to set your own Bitcoin fee. And it's just dependent on how quickly you want it to confirm. And if you're not on a timeline, then you can set that fee a little bit lower and not have to worry. But if you're in a rush, you can change it.
Hey, Ron, you said you were using BitBuy. Is that correct?
Yes, I've got my initial investments into BitBuy right now, but that's why I'm questioning whether it's the best thing in Canada to be using.
No worries. So I'm actually looking at their site now, and it looks like for withdrawals, it says a 0% fee right now. What I am seeing though is they have a fixed mining fee of 0.00025 BTC. So it's not the end of the world. It's not as bad as it could be at some other places. The deposit fees are a different matter, but yeah, it says a 0% fee for withdrawing Bitcoin.
So for reference right now, at the current Bitcoin price in Canadian dollars, that is a $19 withdrawal fee.
Oof. I mean, I guess at least it processes really quickly, but
yeah,
maybe they haven't updated their site recently though.
No, that's probably accurate. There's a lot of Canadian sites that are doing that, where they say, listen, this is a flat fee. We're going to set it like this. They may adjust it from time to time if it gets to be a little much. But basically they're trying to cover it so they can send as quickly as possible, so they don't get the support calls to have to deal with why is my transaction not going through.
Interesting.
And you're on bitbuy.ca, correct?
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah,
I'm just looking at bitbuy.ca/en/fees. But all right, good to know.
Okay, good information. Thank you very much, and I appreciate the help.
Thank you, Ron.
Man.
I'd also recommend subscribing to BTC Sessions channel, and before you set up your hardware wallet, check out his hardware wallet walkthroughs. He's got, I think, one for every hardware wallet ever made.
Probably, yeah.
So what was that channel again? I'm sorry.
BTC Sessions. And what hardware wallet are you using, or what did you get?
I've ordered a Nano, a Ledger Nano X.
Perfect. So if you just search BTC Sessions Ledger, you will see tutorials exactly how to use it, either with your desktop computer or with your phone. They're both there, so you'll be able to walk your way through it.
And that I searched that just on the web, right?
Yeah, just on YouTube, you'll find it really quick.
On YouTube. Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks.
No problem.
Awesome. Thanks, Ron. We're going to send you down. I got 2 more to bring up. I've got a hard out probably by 7:30 or so, so maybe we'll take 2 or 3 more questions, unless you guys can stay longer. We got 1 question. All right. Friar Thomas McDonald? Thomas O'Donnell? Is that what the FR stands for? Come on up.
It stands for father.
Father,
But,
sorry.
Yeah, that could be the fact about me. I'm a priest.
Well,
But you can call me Tom. It's fine.
So a priest and a rabbi walk into a beginner Bitcoin Q&A. Sorry, I had to do it.
Perfect. Wonderful.
Yeah. So my question, I just started today. I started a Swan account because it was recommended to me by someone, and I did the savings thing where it's going to do once a week. And I just want to know like what I should put it in, because I'm like a real beginner. And someone said something about a friend recommended I get a node, but it sounded very complicated, or at least more than I'm willing to invest my time and energy. So it's like, is there something? I know there's something called a cold wallet. So what's the easiest thing to do is my question.
For sure. So real quick, what I would suggest, and what I suggest to everybody, is that don't withdraw your Bitcoin like from anywhere until you're ready to self custody. And I do encourage you to learn about self custody and go down that rabbit hole a bit, but don't just jump in blindly because someone said so. Because if you don't understand what a wallet is or how to use a cold card, it might be safer, probably is safer with the trusted third party for the meantime while you're figuring it out. Now, what you can do is we have a website. I work for Swan, so you can go to swanbitcoin.com/wallets. And that will kind of break down all the different wallet types and all the different things that you kind of need to know around self custody and wallets. I'd also recommend we have a free book we give away. You can go to swanbitcoin.com/free book. And the audiobook of that is actually read by Guy, who's up here on stage. It's really short, man. It's like a 2 to 3 hour read or a 2 to 3 hour listen, and it'll really get you up to speed on why Bitcoin's important, how it works, but also things like wallets and transactions and all these kind of confusing terms that are probably getting thrown at you here on Clubhouse. So that's my recommendation. I don't know if you guys want to jump in here.
The first suggestion of leaving it with the custodian until you're ready. I second that. Most of the services that are in Bitcoin now have been around for a while, and they've been a bit battle tested. But basically, if it's any significant amount, you want to kind of take the leap and start figuring out how to use a hardware wallet, like cold storage wallet. I mean, they're my sponsor for my podcast, but like I have no obligation to recommend them here. I just think it's actually a really easy, and I really enjoyed the setup for the Bitbox. And it's one I use pretty regularly. Granted, I have like all of the hardware wallets, and then BTC Sessions here has videos for all of them. If you're not going to be doing a whole bunch of complex stuff with it, just try to get one that's easy. Learn what a seed phrase is, like learn how to keep your main key safe, what it is, and then start preparing to move to your own storage and what all that entails. As far as your friend who said to get a node, you don't have to do that. That's way down the line. Running your own full node is like kind of like the last stage of being a Bitcoiner, in my opinion. All you need is to make sure you hold your keys and learn what that means and exactly what it entails. And honestly, I would probably just point right over to the guy right to my left, BTC Sessions. He's got YouTube videos out the wazoo on exactly that.
There's just to kind of clarify a few of those things that we've been talking about here real quick. So the way Bitcoin works, or the way you can think of Bitcoin, is as a publicly available ledger, right? And copies of that ledger are kept on computers all around the world. And what a node is part of that network. So like I run a node, Guy runs a node, Ben runs a node, Rabbi, do you run a node? Maybe. But basically,
I've got more nodes than I can keep track of.
Same.
I love it. So, a lot of us do run a node because we believe in the importance of it. But basically what a node allows you to do is, let's say you send a Bitcoin transaction. Instead of trusting someone else's copy of the Bitcoin public ledger, you're verifying it against your own copy. So you can know with absolute certainty that I sent Bitcoin to Ben, or Ben sent Bitcoin to me. I know with absolute certainty, whether it got there or not. Now, in general, you download a wallet, let's say, or something like that, or even with Ledger. Let's say you're using a Ledger wallet, and you're just using their desktop program. You're trusting a node that they have linked to the software. 99% of the time, it's probably right. But if you care about self-sovereignty and you go down that rabbit hole and you really want to learn and you really want to know with that absolute certainty, then you would have to run your own node. So I hope that clarifies things a little bit.
Yeah, that's great.
I wanted to just kind of make a point about the amount of complexity that it really has to be proportional to the amount of funds and the significance that, when you're building up, if you've got a Swan weekly purchasing, that means, as time goes on, it's going to be more Bitcoin that you're going to be securing. So, at a beginning level and the starting level, you're relying on, on the custodian to hold on to it for you. And then when you start to take custody of it yourself, it all has to be proportional of how much, there are different levels of whether you have a wallet on your phone, or you're using one type of hardware wallet, or, more complexity. And each time you're kind of adding to how significant, how much, Bitcoin that you have, and also how much knowledge you have, you can add on to it. So it's not like a one and done. It really is a step-by-step process over the course of months and even years, as you learn more and decide to allocate more, or maybe the price of Bitcoin rises, and what was some seemingly small amount becomes a larger amount. All of those factors come into play.
It's a great point, Rabbi. One other thing I would add is that, not everyone thinks about this, but, well, actually, two things I wanted to add. So with Swan, what's one of the interesting things about us is that your custodial account is yours, versus if you were to open an account with Coinbase, for example, your funds are probably commingled with everyone else's funds. So in the case of a Swan customer, let's say for whatever reason Swan didn't exist tomorrow, snap of a fingers, it's gone. Your Bitcoin is still yours. It's still in the custodian account. We have no claim to it. We can't control it. So that's a nice thing, at least about our custodian. That's a little different. But again, I highly advocate for going down the rabbit hole of self-custody and learning about it. And the other thing I wanted to add was that, let's say you just want to, you do want to get a move on. You want to go down the self-custody rabbit hole and start doing this. Let's say you get a hardware wallet, you don't have to send your entire stack at once, right? Like send $100, get comfortable with $100 with a Bitcoin, get comfortable with how it works. Don't send the Bitcoin right away. You can play around a little bit and get comfortable before you you go all in on being your own custodian, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you.
Any follow-up questions for us?
No, but it could be I don't know enough to ask, but it's been great. Thank you.
No, that's great, man. Since you didn't share an interesting fact about yourself, by the way, I went to school in Philly, so I got to ask, where's your cheesesteak spot?
Oh, Del Sandro's probably.
All right, that's fine. I'm a Jim's guy, but Del Sandro's
right.
good.
Yeah.
Also, I haven't read it yet, Rabbi. I don't know if you've read it, but there's if you're interested in going down the sort of spiritual side of Bitcoin, there's a book that came out called "Thank God for Bitcoin."
Oh yeah, definitely check out. That's a great bunch of Christian Bitcoiners, I believe.
Oh yeah,
wrote a nice book called "Thank God for Bitcoin," and really go at it from that angle.
I'll definitely check that out. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you for your questions. We're going to send you back down, bring someone else up. Who do we got? Who's been here? I don't think anyone's been here for a while. So I'm going to pick the person whose name is a challenge, and I hope I get it right. Wait, hold on. I'm going to get it, I promise. Huitzilopochtli Diaz. Come on up and tell me how badly I butchered your name.
Hey, no problem. That was pretty good. It's Huitzilopochtli. I go by Witzy.
Oh, all right. Kind of there. All right, Witzy. How you doing?
That is a baller name. I love it.
Well, thank you. It's the name of an Aztec sun god. So
that's even better.
Powerful.
Incredible.
I think you were born to be a Bitcoiner.
Yep.
Moon god is what we need. Moon god.
Definitely. that would be Tezcatlipoca.
Tezcatlipoca. Oh, I love that. Awesome. So let us know your Bitcoin. You're allowed to let us know something else interesting about yourself, but you came onto the stage with a bang. So
yeah, other than that, you were named after a sun god.
Man, I wish I was named after a sun god. Anyway.
Yeah, I've been into Bitcoin for a little while now, like about 3 years since like the crash of the last one. So I'm doing okay, but I'm just curious about like wrapping coins these days. Like I've heard about wrapping your Bitcoin in Ethereum to get lower transaction fees, but now Ethereum fees are so high, and that seems like it might not be a bogus idea. And like I don't know what.
Would you wrap your gold in fool's gold? I don't know. That's not a terrible metaphor, but
Well, the word wrapping is really kind of a misnomer, because what that does, what you're doing is you're sending your Bitcoin to you're giving away your Bitcoin, giving it to a third party custodian without any kind of legal contract, and then you're getting back an Ethereum token, which you're just adding a significant amount of risk to yourself. That it's not, unless you're doing something specifically with that, but it's not really, when they call it wrap Bitcoin, that really is like a misnomer. You don't have Bitcoin at the end of the day. You gave away your Bitcoin and you're getting a token in exchange.
Yeah, in the same way that Tether, like wrapped BTC on Ethereum, is Bitcoin, in the same way that the Tether is the dollar. Like, you're just trusting that some exchange is going to give you your Bitcoin back later for the wrapped BTC. If in the meantime that custodian gets hacked, your wrapped BTC is worthless because there's no Bitcoin behind it.
System has a problem, or if Ethereum
Oh yeah,
has a
or
problem,
it's a contract bug. Who knows?
There are so many layers of issues that could arise, that of complexity, that it just doesn't seem worth it to me.
So I want to jump in here with it sounds like from, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you're trying to basically use Bitcoin as efficiently as possible and try and cut down on fees and maybe have faster transactions, so on and so forth. And from that perspective, there are a number of things you can do to ensure that you are using Bitcoin as efficiently as possible. First up, you want to have a good wallet that has all of the extra little features, even though they're not maybe in your face, that are there to make sure that you're paying the lowest fees possible. So I typically point people on mobile to something like Blue Wallet, because Blue Wallet, it uses an address format that is the most efficient and will cut down the most on fees. It also allows you to use something called replace by fee, which effectively just means you can set a low Bitcoin transaction fee. And if it gets through in the amount of time that you need it to get through, then fantastic. But if it doesn't and it's taking too long, you can bump your fee later with no risk to you for doing that. So number one is getting a good wallet. Number two might be using, for you, the Lightning Network. And there's some easy ways to do that. Some wallets that I would recommend you can use within Blue Wallet. There's Lightning. It is custodial, so not ideal, but there are some other options. Breeze, BREEZ wallet is Lightning. Phoenix wallet is another great one, and a new entrant is Moon wallet, MUUN. And all of those use the Lightning Network effectively for instant transactions and negligible, basically free fees. Maybe you might be spending like a penny or a fraction of a penny for those types of transactions. And then in terms of wrapped Bitcoin, the closest thing to that would be similar, but I would say more trustworthy, given it uses the same, effectively the exact same Bitcoin infrastructure, would be the Liquid Network, which is a side chain of Bitcoin, which it's still the same kind of, you still get the trade-offs of you are having a token that is representative of Bitcoin one-to-one, but the model here is a federated model. So they have a whole bunch of different large companies, exchanges, so on and so forth, that have Bitcoin in what's known as a multi-sig. And effectively what would happen to have to happen to break that one-to-one peg is the vast majority of those entities would have to collude together to break that peg to steal your Bitcoin. And so, you can weigh whether or not that's worth it, but Liquid Network effectively allows for much cheaper fees, faster confirmations of your transactions, and it also allows for a degree of privacy, which is also available on Lightning Network. So anyways, there are options out there. The long and the short of it, there are options out there more directly using Bitcoin without having to delve into these alternative coins that have just a whole mess of problems themselves.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Very interesting.
No worries.
Yo. Yeah, probably the simplest thing is, particularly if you're looking for low transaction fees and you just want to make regular or like you want to use it for payments, I would definitely just start exploring Lightning. Like, it's there, and there's so many great tools and so much happening with it. I highly recommend it. Like I said earlier, I use it every day, multiple times a day. So yeah.
Real quick, before I forget, I'm sorry I forgot who was asking about Lightning resources before. I'm not sure if he's still here or not. I don't think he is. But anyway, I'm going to drop a link in our companion Clubhouse chat. You can get a link to that in my bio. But if you're interested in going down the Lightning rabbit hole, learning more about the proper way to run a node, this is a great little resource from OpenOms. So I'm going to drop that in there. Welcome to Mario Gibney up on the stage. Mario, how are you doing tonight?
Mario, what's up?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey.
Doing well. I've got to run in about 5 minutes, but Mario, if you and anyone else want to keep answering questions, would be great if you want to keep it running. Weetsy, we're gonna send you back down, bring someone new up. Thank you for your question.
Sounds good. No problem. Good night.
Take it easy. Audience. John Magny, come on up. Tell us one interesting fact about yourself, if you'd like, optional, and let us know your Bitcoin question.
Interesting fact about myself. I bought Bitcoin in 2016 by mistake.
Good mistake.
Completely by mistake. It wasn't a mistake. It was a joke.
That's all right. That's all right. Some of my best Bitcoin buys, I will admit, my friends like to go clubbing and I do not. So they would drag me out and I'd be sitting at the bar bored and I was drunk and I pulled out my Coinbase app many, many years ago and buy some Bitcoin. I was like, oh, why not? And turned out it was a very good idea. So anyway.
Similar story. Yes. It was at a hotel bar showing people that I was willing to throw money away.
Well, you didn't. You threw it in a good place. So
I did, but then I did maybe what you will consider something stupid. I'm sure this group will certainly. I then started saying, okay, every time a new altcoin came out, I would buy anywhere between $20 and $100 of each of them.
John, you're in good company. Well, Ben somehow escaped the shit coins unscathed, but I fell down that horrible dirty rabbit hole, and along with many other Bitcoiners. So
right,
no worries.
But so far I'm not that scathed by it. But am I wrong to leave them there for a while? So when the market went up, I took money out that paid me back for everything I had bought up to that point. So I treat this like house money.
I mean, look, this is what I tell people is, I consider altcoins gambling. Will they go up and will they go down? Yeah, there's a lot of volatility in them. And if you're paying attention and you happen to know what you're doing, yeah, maybe you can earn more Bitcoin. But the vast majority of people, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to earn more Bitcoin. And, 9 out of 10 people is going to lose money, I think. So,
I think in the long run, I will.
Yep.
I think I'll be one of those guys.
Alrighty, sir. What questions you got for us?
Coinbase going public. What do you guys think of that?
Interesting.
I would say the fact that their potential valuation is so ridiculously high. I mean, I think I saw that they were saying it's going to be bigger than most of the major banks in valuation.
Bigger than the stock markets, like the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ,
Right.
I think.
Like, it just, I mean, it doesn't like really surprise me, but it is a little bit like, damn, like think about all the people that have dismissed this. And then to see a company like that go public, I think it's a big deal for many people who have dismissed this space to kind of pick up a little bit, like look around and reassess how they see what's happening here. And very much like what Michael Saylor did. I think it's kind of on par with that in the realm of making everybody in the corporate boardrooms go, okay, hold on a second. Let's look at this thing again and what the hell's going on? Because here is this company that just sells magic internet money, and it's how many times worth more than our company?
Right.
So I think it's a pretty big deal, even though I'm not even a fan of Coinbase. I think it's an utter embarrassment, the length of time they've been in Bitcoin and the incredibly tiny amount of Bitcoin they actually have in their treasury. So there's a lot of things about the company that I'm like, what in the hell were you thinking? But in the realms of going public and getting the evaluation that they appear to be getting and kind of blowing up in the public sphere, no, it's a big deal.
But when they go public, would you then argue that leaving it in trusted custody safer because they're publicly traded?
No,
Nah, it's still just
no,
Coinbase.
not at all.
All right, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, generally, it's always safer. If you know what you're doing, self-custody is always safer than a quote-unquote trusted third party. You know, hacks can happen.
Right.
They might, you got to look at the fine print about the obligations to you if a hack happened. But you know.
Yeah, I have it everywhere except under my mattress. I have it on cold wallets. I have it everywhere, and I have some out there in Coinbase too.
Good stuff. Anyone else have anything to add?
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I'd echo what Guy said. It is a big deal. I'm not a fan of Coinbase. I think there are much better options for consumers to use. But in the context of a world of people that have dismissed this for 12 years, seeing this large of a launch of a public offering for a company that is, you know, what people will see as a Bitcoin company, even though Bitcoiners would say to the contrary, it's big nonetheless, and it brings eyeballs to the space. And let's be honest, you know, Bitcoin kind of is that beacon of truth, and eventually everybody will get there, regardless of what I would say is a relatively bad actor having a big day in front of the cameras. People will make their way down the rabbit hole, and the truth of what actually has value will only be expedited into people's brains.
Right. I think you make an interesting point about being in front of the cameras for the bad actor, because it's really internal trust has to disappear for it to really be impacted.
Yeah.
Oh, just accidentally muted myself. Just a little note, update. We're getting pretty close to the all-time high.
Come on, Guy. I thought we'd go through an entire show without talking about the price. We almost made it.
Well, I just got a notification.
No, I'm joking. I've got a price chart in front of me all day long. I have my theory is it's kind of like meditation for me, where because I have the price chart on I have a Raspberry Pi with an old monitor with the price chart there. Because I'm looking at it all the time, I'm never looking at it. You know, it
I
becomes
think
the background.
you recommended that to me, right? When
Yeah,
I was
yeah, you were here
help on not getting distracted. Yeah. I tried that for a day, and it sort of worked. But then I started using two screens again. So
that's funny. All right, folks, I've got to run. So to everyone who's listening right now on YouTube, I'm sorry, but the stream is going to end. But thank you for tuning in to us on YouTube, and join in again next week. And thanks to the hosts again for lending your time, and for everyone with your amazing questions tonight. It was a fun one. For whoever's staying, Mario or anyone, just please be sure to close the room out when your patience runs out.
will do.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
God that loser Brecky left.
I'm still here.
I mean, later, man. Sorry. Love you, dude. You're the best.
You know, I could keep streaming and leave the room and just shit talk Guy Swann, but you know, I'm not going to. All right, later, fellas.